Only 10 people bought Hemi-powered Belvedere convertibles in 1966. What color would you have bought? The Chrysler Hemi engines have been around since the late 50s, but by 1964 they came out with the 426 version, which some people call the Generation 2 Hemi. And in 1964, these were called the race Hemis because they were primarily built to go win in NASCAR. This was a 12.5-to-1 compression engine, had aluminum heads, had a single 4-barrel race carburetor, and it was extremely powerful. And in '64, these things swept the Daytona 500, first, second, third, fourth place, which actually prompted NASCAR to create the homologation rule, meaning that you couldn't just be an auto manufacturer that built a couple of hand-built, blueprinted race engines just to race. There also had to be a street version that was sold to the public. So by 1966, Chrysler had come up with the street Hemi version, still 426 cubic inches, but now a 10.5-to-1 compression engine. It had dual 4-barrel carburetors on it, but it was now detuned to 425 horsepower and 490 foot-pounds of torque. Still an animal, but this was now the engine you could buy at your local Dodge Plymouth Chrysler dealership, and that's what we find here in our '66 Hemi-powered Belvedere 2 convertible. You remember in the fairy tale when the big bad wolf dressed up in grandma's clothing? This is it. Doesn't even make sense when you look at it. A 426 Hemi, 10.25-to-1 compression, 425 horsepower, just a fire-breathing monster motor for the street. You know, dual point distributor, lots and lots of torque, but it's surrounded in something that looks like, the color of blankets you'd find in an asylum. I mean, you look at this color and the motor, they just don't make sense. It's too cool. A Chrysler Hemi is always a showstopper in a muscle car. I mean, you open the hood on this thing and you see this giant engine. They call them the elephant, for crying out loud. To me, it almost looks like a linebacker wearing black shoulder pads and a chrome helmet, just ready to knock you over. They were 10.25-to-1 compression. They had a solid mechanical camshaft. But the big thing was the heads. The cylinder heads have a hemispherical dome-shaped combustion chamber that put the spark plug right in the middle of the chamber and allowed the airflow to go freely through the intake and exhaust valves, and that's part of the reason why they made so much power. They were also built very strong. The street Hemi heads were iron, the intake is iron, the block has 4-bolt main caps, forged pistons, and cast iron exhaust manifolds. And these things made power all the way up to 5,000 RPM. The Plymouth Belvedere design was new for 1966. They actually called this the Belvedere 2. And although, it's kind of a square-fronted car, the hardtop versions had a speedy roofline, which made them nice and aerodynamic for NASCAR. Although Enzo Ferrari is credited with saying aerodynamics are for people that don't know how to build engines, Chrysler certainly knew how to build engines, and the aerodynamic shape coupled with that 426 power plant really made these things a threat in NASCAR. But this car is obviously unique for a bunch of reasons. First of all, they only made 10 Hemi-powered 1966 Belvedere 2 convertibles. They only made 6 automatics, and this is an automatic, and they only made 1 in this crazy code 661 mauve metallic color. I can't explain it. I mean, you would think if you had a Hemi under the hood, you'd want something aggressive or racy looking or whatnot, and this looks like kind of a luxury car with this almost pink metallic color and the black top, black interior, but it has all the go-fast stuff you can get. Well, this car proves that not all muscle cars were made in bright colors and had fancy stripes and things that looked racy. I mean, this is code number 661, and it's called metallic mauve. And, as far as we know, this is probably the only one that's a Hemi convertible in this color. And it took somebody special to order this because it's definitely not a color you see every time you go to the car show. It's a very documented car. Galen Gouvier did the IBM computer card decode on it to make sure that this car was built in this color originally, and it's been restored perfectly to its original condition, and it has everything that it was supposed to have, including the Chrysler Certicard. A Certicard is a little plastic card that has the color, the trim, the options, and also the original owner's name and information that Chrysler used for warranty. When you'd go to the dealership to get work done on the car, they would slip the Certicard out from behind the core support and use that to document what happened on this particular car. And this one still has its original Certicard. So it is completely original. It's got the original engine and transmission. They've been rebuilt, but these are numbers matching correct for the car, all the way back to the 3.23 to 1 rear sure grip differential. Now, if you wanted a big, cool, comfortable cruiser, the Belvedere 2 was the car for you. Never mind the fact it's got a Hemi under the hood. This thing's got a bench seat in front, super comfortable, plenty of room in the back. The top goes down, got an AM radio, you know, kind of basic controls. But this is a car that you can pile all your friends in and go have a great time. Just make sure they bring their jukebox money. The restoration on this car is a couple of years old, and it doesn't get exercised very often, as evidenced from our driving footage when this thing actually blew some rusty colored exhaust smoke out. But once we warmed it up and drove around a little bit, you know, that 426 Hemi was just as eager as it was the day it was new. So we were pretty happy to be able to spend some time with this car at the Brothers Collection. But interestingly enough, the 66 Hemi was NASCAR's return of the Hemi. And was it successful? Well, absolutely. King Richard himself won the Daytona 500 in a 66 Hemi-powered Belvedere. But it certainly wasn't pink. Well, like it or hate it, you have to admit it's a very cool car. And you probably wouldn't be calling it pink after this thing just beat you at the stoplight thanks to the Hemi under the hood. If you want to learn more about this car, you can see additional photos and stuff on our website at musclecaroftheweek.com. Plus, we've got the Facebook page. We'll show you a teaser of next week's show, and you can share this car with your friends on Facebook. And we've got the YouTube channel. You'll never miss an episode of Muscle Car of the Week if you subscribe. Check it out.